All right. So, yeah. Definitely I'm highly activated. Absolutely. The smart dust, climate change. We're in huge pole flip right now. Like literally a huge pole flip. And it's pretty crazy when I see what I already know to be true written in the allegory in the movies. I mean, when John F. Kennedy Jr. or John F. Kennedy, when he was at home in bed before he became president, and all he was doing was reading books, and then his dad dubbed him to be the next president. And so he learned a lot of stuff through reading books. Well, all I did, when you think about it, I read a lot of books when I was a kid, but when I was home alone back in my 20s and 30s, even my 40s, I'm watching movies. I'm watching a lot of movies. So all I did was watch movies. Movie after movie after movie after movie. And then over time, once the demons are released, then those movies are something you remember, and those movies represent something. And then they become the support to a thesis, to a concept, to a thought process. And so there's a lot of allegory out there. There's a lot of allegory, a lot of different stories that people can adopt and refer to. But, and I'll not be very careful how I speak on Facebook, because sometimes things can be construed as one thing when it's not. But yeah, I mean, the last couple of days, I feel great this morning. Everything was released very amazingly this morning. I didn't have to do hardly anything to release my demons. So, but you know, what's going on right now is the system is activating your immune system. How they're doing. How are they doing it? Well, yeah. Dust. Particle acceleration, dust. And that reminded me of a movie that I watched even within the last 7 years, The Golden Compass. And so that Golden Compass, that movie, is every single representation of what's going on now, and also even where even explaining what demons are. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the thing. Some of you are Lyra, and you hold a lot of demons. So Lyra was the heroine in the movie, the protagonist, whatever, the heroine, and she had her little demon, the little ferret, a playful and knowledgeable companion that, yeah, people hold demons that are cute and kind. Some are really ugly. Some are, a bit bigger. But that movie was showing you the kind of demons people hold within. The hormone distribution, and even children are representation of demons. And some of you are Lyra, and you hold a lot of demons. And this is based out of the English world, English, kingdom, I guess. And the magisterium, yeah, they're like the government. They understand dust. And so she is uncovering what dust does, what dust is, how it affects children, all that stuff. So, and yeah, your children are a representation of the demons you held at the time of conception, and now you're forced to deal with them. And so this is exactly what I knew a long time ago, that your children were a representation of some kind of demon you held within at the time. Your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, your whatever, your hopes. And now they're representation of a part of you that you were dealing with. And you didn't release them. You just reproduced them onto the world. You better read this whole post, because we are in exactly what this whole post is describing, which is probably why the orcas are attacking fishing boats, because they know that's danger, and that's what's caused a lot of misery in their home. Which is also why children suffer, because they're also being held captive and forced into slavery. Just imagine what your girls feel like when daddy is telling her she needs to go have a family and have a baby so mommy and grandma can have grandchildren. But mommy doesn't care. Neither does daddy, because they have nothing else to lose. They already lost their lives, right? They're at the end of their lives, so they might as well pass on the misery to their offspring and call it a rite of passage. What the fuck am I talking about? Well, let me read this. Lyra's world. A demon was the physical manifestation of a human soul in Lyra's world. Humans in other worlds had demons. However, they were invisible to those who had not learned the technique to see them. Demons were able to hold different intuitions to their humans and reveal emotional responses to their surroundings that might not otherwise be obvious in their humans. Demons shared the same dreams as their humans and could communicate both verbally and non-verbally with them. Okay? And so the biology, the life cycle. Demons were named by the demons of the child's parents. During the childhood of a human, a demon could shapeshift into any kind of animal. The change could be due to emotion, need for a particular skill such as night vision, or simply a whim. Frequent change of forms and a wide array of forms were generally thought to be a good indicator of intelligence in a child. Asta was able to add the characteristics of one animal to another form. Uncertainty in children translated into uncertainty in which form to take. Sister Fanilla did not know how demons were able to take forms they had never come across before, but her demon, Geraint, used to be a mole when he was frightened. Asta believed it was a question of feeling molish rather than knowing about them. So uncertainty in children translated into uncertainty in which form to take. Sister Fenella did not know how demons were able to take forms they had never come across before, but her demon Geraint used to be a mole when he was frightened. And so when you see in that movie that the Golden Compass, when the kids had different emotions, the animals shapeshifted. It's fucking crazy. Asta believed it was a question of feeling molish rather than knowing about them. When the human and their demon reached maturity, the demon would settle into a permanent form. This form represented the personality of their human. Pan was able to turn into a small dragon, and both he and Salcilia could take on the form of gargoyles. It is unclear whether demons could settle as fictional forms or if these abilities were a result of a youthful creativity that would be lost upon reaching adulthood. It may also have been possible to assume the form of an extinct animal. When demons took the form of an animal, they were never really animals, and all other animals would only be able to sense a human. So when demons took the form of an animal, they were never really animals, and all other animals would only be able to sense a human. Demons didn't always settle into permanent form their humans wanted. An example given by Jerry was of a sailor who couldn't leave his ship due to his demon settling as a dolphin, and who was only truly happy when he was finally buried at sea. Forms were sometimes linked to their professions. Both Mr. Croker, a woodwork teacher, and Mr. Taphouse, a carpenter, had woodpecker demons. Roofers, tilers, and steeplejacks had demons that could fly or fit in a pocket to make ladder work viable. Karen suggested that a settled form could not be chosen but could be helped. Diana, a fairy who appeared in forms similar to a human female, appeared to have a whole cloud of butterflies surrounding her, rather than a single demon. As a human and their demons were one being, the death of one resulted in that of the other. So upon death, the demon instantly scattered as dust. Demons could also be permanently injured, as was the case of Jared Bonneville. So as a human and their demons were one being, the death of one resulted in that of the other. Upon death, the demon instantly scattered as dust. Demons could also be permanently injured, as was the case for Gerard Bonneville. Gender. A person's demon was usually the opposite gender. It was uncommon, but not unheard of, for a human and their demons to have the same gender. So a person's demon was usually the opposite gender. Holy shit. It was uncommon but not unheard of for a human and their demon to have the same gender. Bernie Johannesson was a man whose demon was also a male. Simon Talbot argued that the demon usually took the opposite gender to fulfill a sense of incompleteness, taking on a complementary gender role without introducing a complicating sexual or jealous element to relationships. A demon of the same gender might have indicated a certain quality in a person like homosexuality or a gift like second sight. See, yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Toxicology. When a person drank alcohol, their demon would also become inebriated. Cedarwood had a soporific effect on demons. Separation, intercision. As a human and their demon were one being, it was physically and emotionally painful for them to separate too far from each other. Death usually followed such separation due to severe trauma. The General Oblation Board attempted to perfect the intercision process, to separate the human and demon in a way which did not result in death. Nevertheless, this resulted in humans losing some of their willpower and vitality. So what do you think oncology is, right? Less advanced methods were used to create hollow servants called zombies. Witches were known to be able to separate, but the knowledge that humans could was less common. Will Perry and Lyra Silvertongue gained the ability after leaving their demons on the shore of the world of the dead, although he did not give them the longevity, power of flight of bird forms that also characterized in witches. As shaman, John Perry was able to separate from his demon without great pain. Witches were known to be able to separate, but the knowledge that humans could was less common. Will Perry and Lyra Silvertongue gained the ability after leaving their demons on the shore of the world of the dead, although this did not give them the longevity, power of flight, or bird forms that also characterized witches. As shaman, John Perry was also able to separate from his demon without great pain. Wow! Fuck, this is crazy. Humans were able to separate from their demons in moments of great necessity without dying. This allowed them to live completely independent lives in the most extreme cases. When he was 11, Malcolm Polstead separated so that his demons, Asta, could stay to look after a baby Lyra whilst he went to help Alice Parslow fight off Bonneville. Dr. Strauss and Anthony Hassall could separate after the completing their journey, Achterich, which Strauss believed to be the worst and most necessary thing he ever did. Demons felt the incredibly painful journey in Karmakon to be a great portrayal. Chen, their guide, was feared and shunned by other camel herders for his ability to separate. Oh, wow. And so there was a demon trade in Seleucia for those who had lost their own demon. Poor Tajiks and others in desperate situations sold their demons or had them sold as children, and were then regarded with disgust and scorn for the rest of their lives. People like Childu and Yazda were not even granted their own personal names, instead named after numbers odd for women, even for men. Medical knowledge was advanced enough in Seleucia to mean most that people survived the separation operation. There were rumors that big medical corporations were experimenting before moving into Europe, and that they were powerful enough to encourage authorities to ignore any death in illicit trade. Among the sellers operating out of the Park Hotel was Selim Veli, who claimed satisfactory tolerance and even affection could be achieved. He boasted to have sold to Francois Guilbaud and Armidius Cipriani and Godfrey Brand. Oh my God. Yeah. Holy shit. This is some crazy, oh my God. Okay? So then when I'm writing what I'm writing in response to this. Okay? So some of you are Lyra and you hold a lot of demons. Okay? And yes, your children are representation of the demons you held at the time of conception, and now you're forced to deal with them. You better read this whole post, because we're in exactly what this whole post is describing, which is probably why the orcas are are attacking fishing boats because they know that's danger, and that's what caused a lot of misery in their lives, in their home, which is also why children suffer, because they're being held captive and forced into slavery. Just imagine what your girls feel like when daddy is telling her she needs to go and have a family and have a baby so mommy and grandma can get her grandchildren. But mommy doesn't care. Neither does daddy, because they have nothing else to lose. They already lost their lives. They already lived their life, right? And so they might as well pass on the misery to their offspring and call it a rite of passage. Wonderful. We get to deal with that fallout. That's why I'm saying family use their offspring as social capital. And the girls and boys are sent into slavery, and so are the pets, but nobody cares. And so everybody is suffering in a family, and everyone's under the influence because they don't understand where the suffering comes from. Well, you're fucking contributing to it. Okay? Animals and children know they're being bred for some fucked up stuff, and the parents don't care because the parents are making money off their own children. Then the parents feel obligated to see everything through to the very end, because then the community makes sure they suffer, which I understand, but my God, somebody has to stop the bleeding. The animals know, and I'm sure they're tired of being held captive, and I don't care how you justify it. The animals know. And it's not about the animals know a good person versus a bad person, because that's another bullshit maneuver. The animals know they're not supposed to be anyone's pet or family, as you call it. But like you, they were bred to be a slave and traded on the open market until you learn how to set them free and yourself free. Some of you will rest in peace. Others of you will finally realize the bullshit you contributed to. And so, yeah, the whole thing with family and having children, man, and a lot of the crazy things that the system did with occultic practices, satanic circles, even the medical system, holistic system, they were trying to develop demons in people and then turn them into people, right? And then turn them into actual people and see if what they thought would be true. And then I'm seeing the evidence out there that when people do have kids during certain times of their life, that child does represent certain times of their life. And if you went through hell in certain times of your life, that child will be hell, not only you, but everyone around them. And that's the crazy shit. Yeah, demons do walk this earth. Abso-fucking-lutely. And so the whole J world is like a crazy biological exorcism that if you have the body to handle releasing those demons and rebuilding yourself and not entertaining so many demons around you, that you might have a chance to survive this, which is why when you finally realize that you cannot entertain any more demons. And a demon is, when you think about it, it's really things are competing for your body, mind, and spirit. And not unlike this, yes, the demons can destroy people. And so the less demons you have to entertain, probably the better your survival will be. And that's some pretty crazy freaking shit. I've been telling you, the smart dust that's out there, smart dust, does make people smarter or dumber or destroy those who don't have it within them to survive this. So the dust in the Golden Compass was exactly the dust that we're dealing with now, that you can't get away from. I'm serious, you can't get away from the smart dust. And that dust is everywhere. It's what activates your immune system. That represents, the smart dust represents assault back in the J world when we activated people's immune systems and they weren't prepared for it, but they still survived because they had enough body to them. They were still eating food. And so what we did was condition them for what was to come. Some people have probably bought themselves a few years and even probably survived the first round of COVID because we activated their immune system before the system got a hold of them and activated it. And so, I can't get mad at what's going on because the system knew what they developed, especially in America. We were the last greatest experiment. And now we're seeing the downfall of America. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just what it is. And then I feel the energetic amplification of all the particles. And I also notice I'm getting smarter. I also notice I'm making the connections faster. Okay? Yeah. You can't get away from the smart dust. It's everywhere. It's in your body, it's in your mind, it's in your spirit. And what you do with the exposure to the smart dust will obviously determine your outcome. Okay, so some people will resist what the smart dust is doing. The smart dust is activating people's immune systems. It is making certain parts of their body feel pain because why? The body is deficient. The body needs to rebuild. The body needs the meat, the milk, the cheese. Yesterday, I had milk. I had actually heavy whipping cream with strawberries and sugar. Okay? And right after that, not too long after that, oh my gosh, my body had to release some demons. And boy, did it ever. I'm telling you, the heavy cream is the answer. But again, if you are lactose intolerant because you have an issue with understanding how to manage a life after that, because your immune system needs to develop a life to push out the demons, and then you have to still rebuild in the process. So whatever you're exposed to as far as the smart dust, it's either going to work for you or work against you relative to how you react to the environment. And that's the thing about free will. You can't control what other people do, but you can control your reaction to them. You can even walk away from people. You can't control what the system is doing to the environment, but you can control how you react to the environment. And if you resist it, okay, well, you're done. If you learn how to work with the environment and feed it and release the demons and look at what you've contributed to, you might have a chance. You might. I'm not guaranteeing anything. There's no way I can guarantee anything. And so, yeah, the system is cleaning up Earth. And there are people who know what the system needs, and it knows it needs to have amazing people on this earth, and you can choose to be fucking amazing, but it's the ultimate survivor. Okay? And so that's the thing, is that you are an ultimate survivor. You know who you're competing against? Your family, your friends, your job, okay? Everyone that you put yourself in front of, you're competing for survival. And it's everybody, and guess all the different barriers and obstacles that you have to deal with. It's the hurricanes, it's the tornadoes, it's the heat, it's the massive amount of rain, the floods. It's everything that you're seeing that's going on. I mean, when you're watching the stacked tornadoes are back to back in middle of America, Iowa, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, the South. I mean, yeah, the system knew where people settled. The two coasts will have their own shit, but it's middle America is getting freaking hammered right now. Well, that's not a coincidence. There's a lot of intolerance in middle America. Believe me, I know. And especially in areas that are extreme allegorical believers. But then again, you know, like the thing with Methuselah, like I was saying. So Methuselah and Noah were the last of the humans that lived beyond 900 years old. And then you had the flood that released the giants, and even the 900-year-old people reconfigured society and only give people 100, 150 years potentially. So then the system could figure out what the best kind of human was. And so when you had people dying and reproducing and having large families, the system could play with genetics to figure out the best combination and figure out the technology to observe people without holding them captive. I mean, I'm telling you, technology is amazing. That's what I'm saying. You can't get away from what's going on. Because just like in Mexico, they're dealing with hurricanes. Hurricanes, large winds, strong winds that are blowing over even stages that are built. I mean, if you watch that video that I posted from NBC News, okay, they had a huge stage for political candidates that was blown over in a storm, and it collapsed. People were stuck under it. Okay? And so everyone's going to be dealing with some stuff. You cannot get away from the smart dust. You cannot get away from anything. And so now, yeah, you're an ultimate survivor, and I wouldn't want to be in a third world country. I would not want to be in a third world country right now. I'd rather be in America and deal with whatever, because America is strong. I would rather be in the UK and deal with whatever. And just know how to listen to indicators and get out of harm's way and assume you'll lose everything. and set everything you held captive free so you can take care of yourself. But I'll tell you, man, oh yeah. And so yeah, howler monkeys are dropping dead out of trees in Mexico's heat wave. Yeah. 6 years. I mean, 2030 is when the system is going to calm down. How do I know this? Okay, well, let's listen to this. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. How do I figure this out? I gotta find it. Okay, give me 1 minute. Okay, well, I don't know. Let me see. I will find this. I will find it. All right, well. Okay, that's all right. But they said that by 2030, things would have calmed down, that they will be able to redirect. And what are they saying in between? Like, how do you read between the lines? That by the time that they calm the system down is because there'll be enough death and destruction that would warrant them to chill out from all the... Oh, is that no? Okay. Jeez. Oh my gosh, that's fine. But I will say, yeah, by 2030, because you hear them saying that, we're gonna be reaching a point of no return, but they're not gonna try to destroy everybody, okay? They're not gonna try to destroy everybody. They're gonna have to deal with a certain amount of, the system is gonna have to deal with a certain amount of death by 2030. And then they will then say, okay, well, we've gone to all electric, no more coal, no more gas. And so there'll be things that will feed into the narrative of why it is that the climate's finally changing back to something much more less aggressive. And so it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. It'll be a logical fallacy when you think about it. The premise will assume the conclusion because it is the conclusion. When humans, when we have switched everything from fossil fuels to electricity, and obviously there's enough death, okay, that you're not going to really hear about that. But when we switched everything from fossil fuels to burning cleaner, then there'll be less emissions, less heating, less climate, less aggressive global warming, and then the system is going to calm down. But in the meantime, that global warming is going to treat it. Right now, the global warming is contributing to all of the hurricanes, the tornadoes, and the rising of the sea levels. So when you read between the lines, 6 years of this, if you can handle 6 years of this aggressive shit, and you can figure out how to shed your demons, whatever they are, the animals, get your children somewhat relatively independent, making their own choices, and they're not taxing the fuck out of you. If you can release the demons, literally, in body, mind, and spirit, in your household, in the world that you live in, you have a better chance because you're not distracted. So that, oh my God. Sometimes I just have to just get away from the internet because the connections I'm making are so fucking scary. It scares me. And so I'm just like, oh my God. So that's all I'm going to say right now. But yeah, there is something behind when I say release the demons. That includes setting yourself free from the obligations that you're being subjected to because of obligations, because you feel obligated. And realizing what demons are. It's what you entertain, what you've developed, what you marry. But my husband is a relatively good demon. But that's part as much as I can handle. I can't handle anything else outside of this. Okay. And so figure out what you can handle. But oh my God, I'm tripping out. All right, bye.